I have a feeling I may have forgotten to do the these here. Looks like I did, so let's fix that up real quick. We'll go into isolation mode again so we can get a better look at it. And again, I'm going to collapse my stack just so that it's neater. I'm not copying and pasting this, so I'll work on the base stack here. And again, we'll do a loop. We'll get this inside edge here and do a loop. Thanks, Sage. Always appreciate people popping into chat. Good to have you here. You've got the Corsair K95 MX cherry switches. Which coloured cherry switches do you use? Are they the browns, or are they the blues or the reds? I know a lot of gamers like to use the cherry reds, but they're very noisy. Because I do a lot of coding work as well. I find the browns a bit less tiring on my fingers. Reds, yeah, makes sense. Like I said, a lot of gamers use reds. And there's, you know, like I said, nothing wrong with reds. It's just that because I do coding, I find that they tire out my fingers a bit. And they're noisy. Well, noisier than browns. You like the reds for typing? Oh, I found that made my fingers a bit tired after a while. I found the browns just a bit easier to push down on. And I guess it comes from working with other people in a studio as well. I can't really use a keyboard that's really clicky. So I use the same one at home that I use at work. Well, the same type of switch anyway, browns. Loop. Loop. Okay, so we're just trying to soften up the edges of this this ring that's in the dome at the top, because I know I forgot to do it. And remember, nothing will have a hard edge like this and look natural. You always got to soften these edges up. And it's something that you think is small, but it really does make a big difference. And it's also something a lot of people tend to forget to do. And it's generally pretty easy to do. It's nothing complicated. You just select the edges and throw a modifier on top of them. Okay, so I've got those. I think I have all of the edges, so let's soften them up. And this one, it's its own unique piece, so I don't have to copy it from any other piece of geometry. I can go by eye here. I will use 4 segments. That just helps to soften the actual curve itself. Sage, am I an environment artist for games? I was environment artist. I've been an environment artist in a couple of game studios. I still do game models for a games, what would you call them? They're a game studio here where I live. So I do contract work for them. I used to work full-time in games for a couple of different game studios. I'm actually in architectural visualization now, so I do a lot of heritage style 3D work. So if a heritage building needs to be repaired, I'll do a 3D or added to. I'll do the 3D model for that so that the architects can then add their extensions to. Did I add a circle spline? I saw someone else do that. Track moving objects is better in animation when keyframing a camera. Did you add a circle spline to track moving objects better? No, I didn't use a circle spline to create this top piece here. Basically what I did was create a cylinder with, I think it was about 8 different sections, and then I used the I selected the individual sections like I have here and scaled and expanded to create the shape itself. But yeah, you can use a spline if you're doing an animation. I know a lot of people, if they are doing a fly around of an object, they'll use a spline and attach the camera to the spline because that'll give you a nice smooth circular movement. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, Ray. So yeah, Sage, I was an environment artist. I still do environment art for games companies. At the moment though, I do ArchViz, basically. You saw a yellow circle in the middle of my screen. You're talking about this? This is just the orbit camera GUI. It's just a visual reminder to me that I'm in orbit camera mode. It's just a max thing. When I go to selection mode, it disappears. It's just the orbit camera visualizer, so I know what mode I'm in here. Yeah. You used to do some freelance work for an indie studio, then you joined the army. Ah, cool. Well, that's a bit of a difference. Are you still in the army, Sage? It is Sage, isn't it? Yeah. Like I said, if I mispronounce any of you guys' usernames, I'm sorry. I apologise for that up front. All right, so we just want a bit of a smooth on that corner, on these corner pieces here. We don't have to go nuts. That should be fine. It's just to take off that hard edge, that unnatural looking hard edge. You're getting out after 7 years. That's a while to be in the army. What's 20 years, Ray? Are you in the States, Sage, or are you overseas? When you say the army, I assumed the US Army, but you could be anywhere. Okay, let's go into isolation mode here, and we'll do the same on this top piece here. Time flies, eh? Yeah. It certainly does. It's Christmas nearly already. So where's the year gone? You're in Texas, cool. So are you going to go back into freelance indie work when you leave the army, Sage? He's doing 20 years because I know how if you do more than 20 years you can retire and still. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I didn't realise, Ray, that you knew Sage. Yeah, well, that always helps. Still get paid after 20 years, yeah. Is it like a pension type thing? Because I know with here where I am, if you're in the government and you've served for so many years, you get a pension for life. It's one of the perks of being a government minister. I selected the wrong one there. I'm just going to undo that. You're going to go back to school and try game art again. Sounds like a good plan. I'm all for education. I mean, you don't need it necessarily, but if you can, then it's always good to have. I know before I did my my diploma in multimedia, I didn't know any programming, and that helped me learn programming, so it was certainly useful to me. I did design and programming as part of my diploma when I was at Swinburne Uni. Okay, I think we have all of those edges selected now. Let's soften them up. So yeah, don't misunderstand me, guys. Too, when I say school is good, it's good to learn, to be exposed to new and different things. It's not necessary, particularly if you want to get into game work or 3D work, particularly. I know a lot of guys in different studios that have never gone to uni, so it's certainly not necessary. It's good if you can, because like I said, it exposes you to different ways to do things and different things you might not have done before. And it's what taught me to program, to be able to program. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not advocating one way or the other, but it is good if you can. Let's end isolation mode there. Let's save our file just in case, because you never know with Macs. Yeah, also it's true, Ray. Some things you just have to learn on by yourself. That's true. Yeah, and you can. I taught myself to a lot of design before I went to university, which helped when I was at university, because then I didn't find any of the work particularly difficult. I always used to get my assignments finished ahead of most people because I knew how to do things. I didn't need to be told. And that was all self-taught. And that's what places like Twitch are good for as well, of course. It's learning how to do things that you haven't done before that people are working on. I was glad when Twitch reintroduced the creative channel after Justin TV, after they closed that down. You've got a degree in graphic design, Sage. Cool. Mostly self-taught, yeah. Well, as you know, anything design related will always transfer across to whatever you're doing, if it's 3D or web design or anything. They all relate to each other. It's all art in some way, shape or form. Color theory, all of that sort of thing. It all helps. I think before I got into doing 3D, this was many years ago now, I was a chef, so you can always chop and change around. It's never too late to learn anything new. But I've been doing 3D now for more than 10 years, and it's, you know, what I love doing, so I won't be changing again, not unless I'm made to. Alright, so we've saved our file out. We have softened those corners on the banisters here. I've fixed up those stone rings. I'm just trying to recall if there was any other area that I needed to soften. I don't think there was at this stage. I was being a chef. Well, I did my apprenticeship for 4 years, and then I left the industry. So I got my qualification, and then left. So I'm probably not the best person to speak to about it. I didn't like it. I wanted to finish it because I devoted like 4 years. I wanted to have that qualification so I could say I'm a qualified chef, and if I ever wanted to go back to do that, I could. But no, it wasn't for me. I did work at some game studios, yes. Ray. Have I made? I have. I did some contract work for an indie game called Death in Candlewood. I worked on Warner Brothers game, one of those Bugs Bunny games. I also worked on some stuff for Epic Games. That was a while ago though. As far as other stuff goes, cinema work, I've worked with Fox Studios on Jumper, that movie. And I did some 3D stuff for them as well, which they used in a game, I think. I'm not really sure. There are a few things I worked on for game studios that I really can't say. I'm not allowed to say. Sometimes they make you sign contracts where they don't want you to disclose what work you've done. So yes, I've worked on some games. I don't do game work anymore though. Like I said, I do ArchViz work now, so I do a lot of heritage 3D work, which I really like because I like all of this ornate, intricate stone 3D modeling, so it suits me. And I do contract work still for a game studio here, creating models for them. Yeah, it's unfortunate just that a lot of times they will make you sign a contract and a non-disclosure agreement. So you've got a few injuries, Sage. Yeah, 13 years is a long time, particularly if you've got some injuries already. And because I know it can be pretty grueling. I've never been in the army personally, but yeah. I'm just trying to decide, will we work on these smaller pieces or these larger columns next? Because we've really only got these two pieces left to texture up before I start finishing up the model. Ray, you plan on going into the army? Oh, the Air Force. You're in high school at the moment, Ray. Cool. Let's do these small pieces, I think. I'm just going to isolate that so I can get a better look at it and attach it. You're a tank medic, Sage. Yeah, it would take its toll. I'm going to convert this to an edit poly. Always better to work in edit poly mode as opposed to edit mesh mode. You just have a lot more options. That's in any 3D software program you use. Edit poly better than edit mesh. 9 times out of 10. I'm just attaching these pieces together. So it's one mesh, and I'm going to call it support. And again, it's important to name your model pieces, particularly if you're working in, like I do, with a lot of different pieces of geometry. As you can see here, I've got a list of everything that's in the scene, and if you don't name them, if you don't name them, you're not going to know what any of these boxes are, like box 124, box 132. It just helps you if you need to find anything again. It's important to name it, and it also helps you if you're creating textures for it because you can use the same name. Just a good organizational tip. You're a senior in high school, Ray. You plan on doing 20 years in the army and apply for the Art Institute for Animation. Okay. Yeah, well, that's important. Like I said, if you're still finishing up high school, watch as many tutorials as you can, and check out as many Twitch channel, creative channels as you can, because like I said, everybody's going to do things differently. Now, I want to point out too that the way I show you how I do something is not the only way. It's not the best way. Everybody's way of doing something is different. I'm showing you my way that I do it, and this is how I've learned to do it. And after more than 10 years in the industry, so all I'm saying is this is how I do something. Other people may do it differently. It doesn't hurt to see as many different ways to do one thing as you can anyway. I mean, it's all valuable information. So, but yeah, I don't want to say that this is the only way to do it. This is the best way to do it. This is just my way of doing it. So we've named our model here. We've attached the pieces together. The way I tackle any of these small pieces of geometry, and as I said, when I create a model, I don't try and create everything as one mesh. It can work in some instances, but it's going to create more work for you. It's better off if you can create things in smaller pieces, and then you can attach them together at the end, which is what we'll do before we export it to do a final render. But now that we've got our piece of geometry here, I'm going to go into the material editor. The army is a great experience, Sage. I commend you for doing it. I think it is a great experience. It's not for everybody, of course, but it's certainly a worthwhile thing to do. It teaches you a lot of important things. not all about war and dying, Ray. Yeah. Yeah. To each their own. I don't think the army would be for me personally, but I'm a lot older than you. Why has Sage been... sorry, Sage. Nightbot has... You're not allowed to post links in the chat unless I specifically allow them. What link did you try and post? I can't see anything here as to why Nightbot would do that. And he's probably timed you out now too, so just give me a sec here to see what's going on. I'm going... If you do want to post a link, let me know. I can permit you, but tell me before you do it. Otherwise, if you do it too often, Nightbot will ban you for I think it's 10 minutes. Yeah, Nightbot again. That's right. You can, if you have something you want to share, let me know. I can grant you permission to post a link. Generally, though, I've set it up so that we don't get spam bots in the chat. So Nightbot will automatically ban any links, unless I've permitted you specifically. Which, like I said, I'm happy to do if you have something you think you want to share, but you must tell me beforehand. Otherwise, Nightbot could ban you for 10 minutes. You won't be able to post anything, even chat. That happened to Galen the other day. I'm going to assign this plain grey material to that object. This is just a base material that we use before we take it into Mari to paint it up. We're going to throw a UVW map on top of that, just a standard box map. But I'm happy for you to post a link if there's something you want to share. I'm always happy to look at any work that you guys are doing. As I've said before, if you're doing something in 3D or not, just doing some artwork, I'm happy to look at it for you. If you want my opinion, I'm happy to give it. So that's not a problem. Oh, thank you for the follow, Ray. I just noticed my notifications are working, so it's great. Great to see. They weren't working. They haven't been working for the last month and a half, so I finally looked at it yesterday and it looks like they're working. See you, Ray. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you for the follow. It's very good of you. I always appreciate it when you guys follow my Twitch channel, so thank you. No problem, Sage. Do you want me to add you to my regulars list so that you can post links? I'm happy to do it if you think you might pop back again and want to post something. Just let me know. And yeah, as I said, thanks, Ray, for the follow. I appreciate it. So let's throw an unwrap UVW on top of that now. And I'm going to turn off map seams and fill seams because I like to see the object. I'm going to go into map channel 2 and move the UVs across. I'm going to open the UV editor. This is a dense mesh too by the look of it. I'm going to go mapping, flatten mapping, and leave the default values, and it may take Max a little while because of the density of the mesh. Okay. And I do this before I take it into Mari because when you're painting up a 3D object in 3D paint program, you don't want any overlapping UVs, otherwise you're going to be painting over an area you've already done. It all has to be on its own separate UV island. So this step here is so I can show you how I texture up these models. So we've done a box map of a standard grey texture. We've done an unwrap into map channel 2. We're going to go to render, render to texture, and I use render to texture a lot in Max. We're going to use existing channel and make it channel 2. We're going to add a diffuse map. I'm going to make this a 2K texture, which is probably way bigger than we need. But like I've said all along, you're better to go bigger than smaller, and that way you can always reduce it later on in Photoshop if you need to. So normally I'd probably stick to a 1K texture here, 1024 by 1024, but I'll do 2048, and I'll knock it down later on, probably. So we have our map channel 2, our diffuse map, our map size, and I'm just going to save it into our rework folder, which is the one that we've been working with all along. I always remove this support diffuse map bit from the end. That's just me. I'm saving it as a Targa file, .tga. You can save it as any file format you like, but Targa is a lossless format, so it's a good one to use. Okay, I'm going to render that out. Max is going to complain I haven't told it where I want to put it. I don't want it to put anywhere. I want to do that manually. So I'll just continue on there. So basically what this is doing is it's taking the texture map that we've assigned to the map channel 1, and it's rendering it out to our UVs into map channel 2 and creating a new texture map. We can close down the render to texture now. We'll open up our material editor again, and I always work my way down again just so I can keep things organized, so I know that the last one at the bottom is the last object I worked on. I'm going to throw down a standard material and load in a bitmap, and that bitmap is going to be that render to texture that we just did. It should be called support. There it is there. I'll just pipe that into the diffuse channel. I'm going to go show shaded and show realistic. I'm going to assign it to that model that's selected. Now it's going to mess up our UVs here, but we'll fix that in just a minute. We go into our utilities tab, into our channel info. We're going to copy the UVs from channel 2 into channel 1. That'll fix that texture back again. And we're going to clear out channel 2, and that's just because we don't need it, and it just increases file size for no reason. Now I'm going to go File, Export, and Export Selected, which is that object we have selected there, back into our rework folder. I'm going to save it as an OBJ file. And we're going to call it support. Default values is fine. Okay, I'm back. Are you getting audio stuttering, Sniper Echo? I don't monitor my stream, so I don't know when Twitch is playing an ad or a commercial. That's just my bandwidth. I don't want to use up my bandwidth by monitoring my Twitch page. I just use Chatty to chat to you guys. And thank you for the follow, Sage, too. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, when you guys follow me on Twitch, so thank you very much. And let me know if my audio is stuttering for you guys now. I haven't had anyone else tell me that my audio is stuttering. But if it was just a commercial, well, then maybe that was the reason. All right, let's we've exported our model here, our model piece, so that we can take it into Mari to do some texturing. Stuttering is happening only on the Be Right Back screen. Yeah. So it's actually my music in the Be Right Back screen that's stuttering for you. Because I made a slight change to my Be Right Back by putting an animated robot, my animated logo bot, Eggbot, into it. I might have to look at that. It was just a commercial for you, Sage. Cool. Yeah, no one else has told me that they're getting stuttering, but that Be Right Back screen is new. It's only in the last week that I've been using the modified version of it. So if it stutters for any of you other guys, please let me know and I'll look at it. Do you want me to add you to the regular, Sage, so you can post links in chat? Just let me know. I'm happy to do it. Okay. Well, Sage, just you at this stage, Sniper Echo, and if anybody else is having that problem of stuttering on the Be Right Back screen of the music, let me know, and I'll look into it. No one so far has said anything though. Let's jump into Murray. Now I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to call it support, which is the name of our model piece that we exported. I'm going to jump into my rework folder here. And I'm going to load up that OBJ file we exported from Max. I'm just going to change my root path here from my SSD drive to my hard drive. We're creating a color texture at 2K, 2048 by 2048. We'll go OK. Remember guys, if anything that I'm doing you're not sure about, feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If you've got anything you want me to look at or anything really at all, pop into chat. That's cool. I'm happy to help anybody. I'm going to go into flat shaded mode here. If you just want to watch, then that's completely fine too. I know a lot of times when I'm watching Twitch streams, I won't always pop into chat. I just like to watch people work. I don't have a problem with that at all. But yeah, the offer's there. If you have anything you're not sure about that I'm doing, feel free to ask me in chat. Or if you just want to say hi, then that's cool too. So I'm in flat shaded mode here so I can see my model a little bit better. I'm going to go into my channel here and right click and import into the layer stack. Again, I'm going to jump into my rework folder. Mari defaults to .tiff, so if you don't see anything in your rework folder, just pop a star in here and it'll show up everything that's in that folder there. I mean, if you're working with TIFF textures to begin with, then it'll show up without a problem, but I don't know too many people that work with TIFF anymore. I mean, studios will still use it, but the file sizes are very big. I'm going to select that support.tga that we rendered to texture in Max and import. And that just helps me to see the model in 3D a little bit better than that grey texture that it defaults to. Now I have edge masking turned on at the moment, which is that red shading. I'm going to turn that off by going to my project tab and turning it off just there. Edge masking is useful if you're doing fine details, and I may turn it back on again a little later, but at this stage we want to turn it off. I'm going to go back into my image manager tab and I'm going to bring in some texture sets. Now guys that have been watching my channel will know that I always recommend you stick with the same texture sets so that you have consistency in the model that you're creating. You don't want to go using a whole lot of different textures on the one sort of object, in this case say garden terrace, because you want to keep it all looking consistent throughout the model. So I just tend to work with two texture sets for this garden terrace, and that this is one of them. The other one is a dirt and grime texture, so texture set. Just double checking I have my mic unmuted. I spent the first 5 minutes of the stream yesterday with my mic muted. No one could hear what I was saying. That was slightly embarrassing. But it all looks good. Okay, let's bring in our second texture set, which is this dirt one here. I always work with the high resolution versions of these maps, which means that they're probably 2K and up, because you don't want to go painting with a low resolution texture, that otherwise you'll get pixelation. So always try and work with the highest resolution textures you can, particularly in these 3D paint programs. I'm just checking I'm not dropping any frames, so it should be good. We'll wait for Mari to finish loading that. Again, Mari doesn't actually physically load these textures in. It just loads a pointer to them So you can load as many as you like. You won't be using your computer's memory up. Now let's throw down a new layer. Remember, every time we add a new texture, we'll throw down a new layer, just so that we can easily remove it if we don't like what we've done. Now we're going to find a texture that will be good for those banisters, for these supports. And I was wanting to go with a bit of a terracotta color, I thought. Let's see what this one looks like. I'm just going to quickly jump back into Max so I can look at the model and decide what color I want to put down there. I don't want to go with any of these grey. There's enough grey in the model now. I want to introduce a little bit more colour. And I'll be able to do that when I add the ivy, the growing ivy, because the flowers on it I'll make nice and colourful to add a bit more colour to the model. Let's just see what other textures we have here. That one might work. Maybe. It's more of a cement though. This is part of the fun of texturing up a model, is just going through what you've got and seeing what you think might be good. And of course you're not stuck with it. A lot of the times I'll texture up a model, bring it in to the into Max, and then decide that I don't quite like the shade, so I'll take that texture then into Photoshop and do some color correction on it, which I may end up doing with this anyway. I don't want this any more of this grey. It's actually very similar to one of these other ones up here. Maybe this one. I'm just going to have a quick look through the rest of them, see if there's anything better that I like. No, too brown. I think this is wrought iron. No, but too purple. Nope. Might be good for a tank or something, or for some metallic object, but not for this stone piece. No, don't really like that one. We use this one on the small columns on the banister, so we're not going to use that again.